Hey everyone, this is Helena and I'm talking with Nicole Elisa again today. Nicole is an amazing transformational love coach who helps women own their worthiness and irresistibility so they can call in that man and attract the relationship they've always wanted. So welcome, Nicole. Thank you so much for talking with me again today.
Thank you so much for having me, Elena. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
I'm really excited to talk about this topic today. We recently did a video together on, what to do if a man is breadcrumbing you, or if he's emotionally unavailable or not ready to commit, or just isn't, willing or able or ready to have the kind of relationship that you want. And that video got such a huge response. We wanted to take that topic and go a little bit deeper and go into one of the specifics there. So today we're going to be talking about how to let a man go if he's only giving you crumbs, or if he's ghosted you, or maybe even disappeared altogether, because that's something we saw a lot of in the comment section of that video in particular. So Nicole, I'm so excited. Let's just jump right in. First of all, what is it that causes us to stay attached to men who are only giving us crumbs, or maybe who are not even there anymore, who just have completely pulled away or backed off?
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question. I really believe that it has to do with what we are used to in a way, but not necessarily consciously, because a lot of women, when we speak with them, they say, Nicole, I know that I deserve better, but they find themselves like having this battle between their mind and their hearts. Like, maybe I should wait, like maybe I should just wait for him, maybe I should be patient, but I know that something is just off. And they ask themselves, like, why isn't it that I'm fully letting go if I know that I should? And the answer really has to do with what's going on in your subconscious. Because people don't know this, but your subconscious holds like 92% or something, like, of your decision-making power, especially because love is such an area where we're governed by our heart and our feelings and our emotions. That's what the subconscious holds in many ways. Like, it's that primal feeling. So your subconscious mind is formed when you're very little. And if, for example, you experience feeling a lack of love from your parents, maybe it wasn't 100%, but it was just what you experienced, that becomes part of the comfort zone, like what the subconscious holds and expects, and it's a safety zone, right? So we know consciously, as women, oh, like, this man is not treating us right, like, it's not treating me right, and I should move. But since the mind is so focused on survival, right, like, having the type of love that you want, it's not normal. It's not normal for the subconscious. Like, for the subconscious, it's like, oh, that's a no. That's like fire, some sort of situation where the mind is like, nope, I don't want to get hurt. So it's really important. Sometimes we stay with what we're used to, even though consciously and in our hearts we know that we deserve more.
I totally.
So it's just that, to know that in those cases, if you know that, if you know that you deserve more, and for some reason you're not taking the step, maybe you got to look at your subconscious mind, right? Because it's quote unquote trying to protect you. You want to know that there is actually true abundance out there.
I completely agree. Yeah, your screen froze for a second, so I hope everything's still okay. Pretty sure that it is. Usually when that happens, everything's still fine. But coming at it from my psychology background, everything you said, I 100% agree with. I think it's so important to take a look at these things and just really know that your subconscious, like Nicole said, is kind of where, what's running the show a lot of times. Doesn't make decisions about what's good for you and what's bad for you, or what's unhealthy and what's healthy. Your prefrontal cortex is what makes those kinds of decisions, but your subconscious doesn't do that. Just like Nicole said, your subconscious just pulls you towards what feels familiar because it's so committed to survival and homeostasis. Its job is to protect you and keep you safe. So when a man comes along who fits right into your old relationship patterns, or what love felt like to you earlier in life, for example, your subconscious wants to say, you've survived this, you can handle this, this is safe, you're still here and you survived everything that's happened to you in your past. So this is something that is known, and it will actually create that spark of attraction with the kind of man who feels familiar and who fits right in with that. So it's just really important to become aware of, because as women, we can place so much meaning on this chemistry and attraction that we feel, especially, you know, if we don't feel those things very often. That's something I certainly see in clients. They take their feelings to mean, because their feelings are so rare and special, they take it to mean that, you know, they need to stay attached to this man, even if he's not treating her right, even if he is neglecting her, is super hot and cold, breadcrumbing, even if he's pulled away, they feel this need to stay attached. And it's pretty clear to someone from the outside looking at it objectively that it's this pattern that keeps repeating. Nicole, do you see that as well?
Yes, 100%. And if we're not aware, then what happens is that we just feel this high intensity, like this feeling that it's like, oh, but it feels so right. But, you know, like I just need to wait on him. It just feels very familiar. There's a reason why it feels so intense. And you sometimes like the judgment is a little bit like clouded, because you know that you want something, it's not happening, but you have that inner battle. So it's just really important for you to face it, like be willing to understand what's going on. I hear it from women all the time. It's like, I want something better, but for some reason I'm not taking the actions towards it, right? So
yeah. Oh yeah. And of course, yeah, no judgment here. I was there. The reason I know so much about this is because I was there myself for such a long time. I mean, probably like 15 years or so, maybe 10, 15 years, I was like stuck in this pattern. And, you know, for those of you familiar with my story, you know that I was stuck on the emotionally unavailable type of man. Really a common thing, because that's where most of us feel safe, right? We start to develop this comfort zone where on a very deep subconscious level, we're kind of more comfortable with a man who is not 100% there for us, because than we are with a man who is 100% there for us, because it feels safe. There's no risk of true emotional intimacy and closeness there. So what would you say, Nicole, is the first step to start to turn this around, to let this kind of man go and move on to a different kind of man? I have my own process and ideas, you know, for that, of course, but I'd love to hear from you, and then I can just kind of jump in with my thoughts as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I had to, like, what actually like woke me up, because just like you, I mean, I liked the guy for like 10 years. We weren't even together, but like my whole body was saying, but this is perfect. You know, like we have so much chemistry. Everybody knows it. 10 years. So what really woke me up was when somebody said that we tend to attract or repeat like our parents' mistakes or like type of relationship. And we tend to repeat them. And I was just like, well, look, my parents weren't happy. I do not want that. So the first thing is to really empower yourself. What really helped me was actually having like a support system, that like coaching, like I just really allowed myself to go there to have the support system. Here's why. Because I think about it this way. If we are scared about the unknown, we're scared of actually going through it like alone, right? But when you know that you have a tribe, right, of people that are there to support you, that can really help you with it, then what that does is that you realize, like, whoa, I'm safe. Like, I actually have support. Because I could have been Wonder Woman, you know, like super brave. I'm going to face this alone. I kind of did that at the beginning, but here's what I noticed when I was trying to do it alone. I would go into highs and then lows, highs and then lows. I would believe, then I wouldn't believe, and then I would get caught up in my own story, in my own doubts. And even though like I was rocking it out in other areas of my life, like that constant down, up and down, like was actually taking time. So I know that a lot of women, they're like, well, if I want to meet my man and I want to meet him now, right? What creates more of that consistent flow for you? More often than not is having a really key support system. And it's key because it's not just, and here's why I say this, not just talking with your girlfriends, right? Because a lot of the times your girlfriends are going through the same thing that you're doing and you're going through. So yes, it's really important to support each other. And what I've actually seen is that when you have a support system with a coach, or you have a specific group around that, like you're reading books about it, like whatever is going to really make you feel like you can actually trust, let go, surrender, allow so that your mind is not freaking out that much. Whatever gives you that level of support and be like, oh, I can actually do this, right?
That's
Other
a
people.
great point. Yeah, that's a great point. I've seen that too with group coaching. I have a group coaching program, individual and group, called the Soulmate Attraction System, and I didn't even think about it like that. But when you said that, it really struck me. They seeing the people in the program, oh, well, this person is really like going for it and they're getting incredible results. And then, you know, it just seeing like that sisterhood and how one person's success can like push you forward to the next level too. I've certainly seen that. I love that.
In feminine energy, it's all about community. It's all about community, right? Like when we have support, we feel love, right? Like there's this video that shows that when women like hug each other every day, like they release like all these different hormones, like whatever makes you really feel safe. But if you've been like just going at it like Wonder Woman, it can feel sometimes lonely. And I don't know why I felt called to address it, but I've noticed, or I've heard from women sometimes tell me that sometimes for them to find that safety energy, they just go ahead and date another person immediately. But they're looking for it in a way where maybe they're not necessarily processing or figuring out what was going on in the background, and then they kind of like repeat the same scenario. So if you want something new, you gotta do something different. You just gotta find the way that's gonna help you feel the most supported and the most elevated.
It is important because it does involve stepping out of your comfort zone. I say my process that I've sort of come up with as the way out of this is changing what feels familiar to you. If you are being pulled towards what feels familiar, what you have to do is completely transform and change what feels familiar to you. It's very, very important. And that can be scary, right? And I certainly had a hard time going it alone. It took a long time, a lot of trial and error. So yeah, I think that's fantastic. If you have a friend or some group where you can surround yourself with women who have been through something similar or who are now experiencing something similar, that can really help.
Yeah, and one thing that really helped me, because I do advise that if it's like a friend, you have a friend that you're going at it, together, right? That you both have the same goals and energies, because you're going into the unknown, right? Even though you're very clear that you want to meet your man, you want to have like the man that's right, like for you. One thing that also really helped me is writing down a list of why what I wanted in this case, wanted to meet like the right man, like was going to work out for me. And then I would write down like a list of 10 reasons why, like, oh, this person did it, this celebrity did it, I see it here, I see it over there, and just reading it over, because that would help my subconscious really be like, oh, I can do this, I can actually really do this. And then like some of the resistance would just drop, and the resistance would be like, well, the subconscious would be like, well, if this other person has it, then I can have it too.
I love that. I call that looking for evidence that your love story exists. And I just did an interview the other day with another expert who had this great idea around that, of like looking, even in like celebrity couples or just couples that in your life that you admire, looking at that and acknowledging that it happened for them. And then, your mentality being, and I'm next, I'm next because I see that this is possible, rather than resenting it or feeling like separating yourself from that energetically. So I love that. What are some ways that a woman can work internally to create some shifts and change what feels familiar to her? Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, ultimately, so here's the way I see it. Like the list that I just mentioned now, and that you shared as well, really works sometimes at a mental level, and then it can also like relax your body. What I will say is that the number one thing that would actually get you to make that choice is connecting with your heart, right? When we have this fear, like it can sometimes take over. You might not physically notice it in your body, but you will feel it, like you're tense. So what happens is that a lot of times you can start lying to yourself, like, oh, like I'll be good with this guy, or let me just think about this a billion and different 7 ways until I actually make a choice. But you gotta understand that those are defense mechanisms. So unless you actually, right, really wake up to the fact that the only resource that you don't ever get again is time, you find yourself up here thinking, strategizing what you could do or what not, and then maybe you break up with him, but then you like go ahead and hide in your room. Like, look, the only reasons that you won't like get back is time. So I really invite you to create a practice where you look at yourself in the mirror, you look at yourself like eye to eye, just be like, hey, I'm gonna love you. Like, I'm not gonna look that for in another guy. Like, you need to be my number one relationship right now. And I'm gonna be real with you, and I'm gonna choose you, and I'm gonna take the action steps that I need to, like if my life depends on it, right? We need to learn how to actually put ourselves first. Because if we don't, then that builds resentment down the road. So it's only when I actually had moments where I was like, look, and this is why I say it's like a tribal fear. I was like, I'm either choosing another person or I'm choosing myself. But how am I sacrificing my happiness? I actually had to sit down and ask myself tough questions for me to actually see, hey, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. You don't like this. It's like your own light is like you're just draining it. You've got to choose yourself. And that's why I say it's a tribal fear. But you've got to be, I'm going to love myself, and I'm going to trust that love is going to be, you see my hair right now, like it's been like over, I think it's been like 5 years now. But the moment where I decided to chop off my hair, like I had all family members telling me, no man is going to choose you that way. No man. It's like nobody's going to love you that way. Like I legit heard phrases like that. Imagine saying that to somebody and your own family is telling you that. So it's like, oh, I should shrink. I should have my hair relaxed. I should show up this way. But I said no. And I remember being terrified in my bed. And I'm like, I don't care what you're saying. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And it's not going to be like slow steps, like, I'm going to like transition it, keep it a couple months, and then keep chopping it up. Like, I'm just going to cut it, And I decided to cut it. And as soon as I cut it, I was like, I'm going to choose me. And that was the most liberating moment that I've had in my life. Right? And from that moment on, that's when men started to notice me for real. Can you believe it? Of course. Right?
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, I love that. I think we talked about that. Maybe like the very first interview we did a long time ago. It's such a powerful story. Like you chose yourself. It felt like a big, huge, drastic step into the unknown. You listened to yourself, not what everyone else was saying. And now that's what men love about you. That's unbelievable. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And it's all about choosing yourself and knowing that life has you. I was like, I will not hear your lack story. I will not. People talk lack around me and I'm like, nope, I don't want to hear it, right? Because I look around me and I see abundance of love. But what happens is that most people don't realize that when they're in that fear, what they look is lack. They see lack, but it's not that the lack is just what's going on. You have a choice to turn around and choose abundance. Right? And you got to be brave and love yourself enough to do it. So whatever gets you like, I'm going to do this, right? That's what you need to do.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the scarcity mindset or getting stuck in that lackful energy. I don't know if lackful is a word, but that's how I felt when you described it. That energy of like, and I hear this a lot from women who are stuck on men who are just not doing anything. They're not moving things forward. They're barely there. They're just barely contacting her whenever it's convenient. And the woman is so attached to him. And one thing I hear from them all the time is, well, I'm just not into that. I'm just not attracted to that many people. I don't think there's going to ever be anyone else who I'm going to feel this way for. And do you hear that? And what would you say to a woman who's stuck in that energy?
Yeah, well, I used to be that person. Like, I would like guys 10 years after 10 years, like one guy. So here's what I would say. I think most people don't realize that belief in lack comes from that place or that moment in life where you really felt a lack of love towards you, maybe from life or from parents or somebody broke your heart. And then you really took that in, and then you manifest, like you project it out into the world, and that's why you're seeing that. But so you gotta like choose to be like, okay, if I can find 3 people, right, that are happy in love and that have love, then I can have it as well. I can. And I'm like, if I need to sit down and ask them, how is it that they did it? Then that's what I'm going to do, right? Like, you gotta be willing. You gotta be willing. And I understand that this is scary, but what will really help you is actually writing down the list that I said at the beginning. Like, I can have love the way that I want to. This is true because, and you write like 10 reasons why, and then you've got to go for it. Because the thing is that if you're willing to change the story, you will see men that are available to you. I can give you an example, actually. I hear a lot from women, maybe you've heard this one. Like, when I go out, like when I travel, right, that's when I meet a lot of men that are like super interesting, or I find somebody that's like my type, right? But when I'm back in my city, like nothing is happening. And I think it's a very similar story. And the reason for that, I always, you know, that you and I always talk about energy, right? It's because that's the moment where you actually became available for something different to happen. Because you've allowed yourself to believe that when you're in your city, it's not going to happen. But when you are feeling that expansion, that you're going somewhere else, you are actually open. So you got to find a way to create that where you are right now.
Oh my gosh, I love that. It's so amazing that you brought that up. Yeah, my best friend, one of my best friends, I got to get her on here. She's amazing. She, when I first met her, stuck on somebody I knew, totally, you know, unavailable, just handing out crumbs, you know, and she actually just got back from this, you know, vacation in Europe. And she said, guys, we're coming from all over the place. And she just, in every country, she met different men who were so into her. And she describes herself as just kind of like, you know, an average, even though I think she's gorgeous, of course, you know, she just was amazed at just how she opened her energy, and she ended up meeting this amazing guy who is so crazy about her, totally in love, super hot guy. I mean, it's just unbelievable how one thing led to the next. And all she did was exactly what you did. She's just going to be open. She said, I'm just going to be open and, you know, see what happens, see who shows up. And it's unbelievable how one thing led to another. She went from this country to that country and met this incredible guy just by doing what you said. So it definitely works. I just heard about this like, you know, a month ago. So it totally works. And I hope everyone really took that to heart. And now when it comes to actually letting go of a man, I know that can be difficult. Do you have any steps or maybe like mantras or something that you have a woman do, maybe an exercise or something to actually help when, you know, to cut off that contact or to let him go and move on? That can probably be one of the most difficult things, right?
Yes. Support system, number one, whether it's your girlfriends, right? Start doing a lot of things to love yourself up. I really do believe loving yourself up is a number one thing. And whatever you can do, like whether it's reading books, anything that's going to raise your belief, like reading books, watching videos like this, having a supportive community, those are the things that I would actually really recommend. And also dream boards. So a lot of people know about vision boards. Here's the thing. Here's how I actually like do vision boards. I actually Photoshop myself in them, right? Like, so, right, I will Photoshop my picture with whatever it is that I want. So I make it very real, and then I write up my affirmations there. So the way that I do dream boards is that I open up like a Word document, I put on the pictures that are Photoshopped, I write it all very pretty, and then I print it like it's like a photograph, and I have it with me. I find that when I can actually see it like in a really pretty like state, and I can just see it, like I visualize it, that that's what I'm holding myself accountable for. And anything also that also makes you feel like you're taking a jump, like you're taking a leap, and that makes you feel safe. So for example, if you do a coaching program, or if you do something, like if you're gonna take the leap, don't feel like you're taking a leap into the unknown. Like take a leap into something that's gonna, like, that's safe and that's going to elevate you, right? Like whether it is creating a group system, like with your girlfriends, or doing a coaching program, or going to an event, like finding that community, but something that is going to elevate you. And you've got to choose, you've got to commit that you are going to elevate yourself, and you cannot break that promise to yourself, because that's when you start to not like trust yourself or the process. So I really like to talk about trust in two ways. You've got to learn how to trust that life has you, and that you can trust yourself. So when you break your own word, right, that's when you start to question, like, if you can have things. But you've got to create a practice where you are committed to honoring your word and to understand that life has you. Because if life has other people, it has you. We are the ones that disconnect with our own thoughts of resistance and disbelief. It's not that life is not like, like, it's not open. It's life is open to give you the flow of whatever you want. And I really look at it, right? Because I look at nature a lot. I look at flowers. I look at plants. I look at everything. And it's like, if they are cared for, right, naturally speaking, so are we. So that's one of the tools that I use as well, to really ground myself in knowing that if others are cared for, I am cared for, so I can take on this expansion. I can go for it. My level of trust first starts with the universe and then with myself, right? Like, life has me, therefore I have me, and I can have what I want. So it's all about, for me, like, really building trust. This is really and truly not about whether you can actually have the love that you want. It's about whether you're willing to believe that you can have it and understand that in order for you to allow yourself to have it, you need to know that life has you and that you can trust yourself, right? Those are your number 1, 2 relationships. And you've got to really know that. That's like a boundary. Your number 1, 2 relationships are with the universe and with yourself. And if you can really nurture those 2 relationships, you're good. So for example, you find that you need to let go of a man that's not like in alignment with you. You can have gratitude for that, right? Like, oh, life has me so much that I can easily let go of somebody that is not in alignment with me. And when you are on the gratitude boat, right, you start to attract more of what you want, because what that gratitude shows is your belief. When you are deep in fear and you're wondering, it shows that you're learning to believe if you choose to, right? But you've got to be on that gratitude boat, like, oh, this thing didn't work out with this person, then that's great. Oh, maybe I messed up here. Well, I'm grateful that I can learn from that and I can move forward and I forgive myself, right? It's always about, how can I be grateful? How can I be grateful? So when you are in that gratitude boat, like, things will naturally start to happen for you, but it really happens from understanding that your number 1, 2 relationships are with the universe and with yourself. That way, all things will really flow.
I love that complete trust in life and complete trust in yourself. So, so important. Oh my gosh, this was so huge. And we always, kind of go really deep and big, zoom out with these concepts, which we love to do. But for those of you watching, if you have any practical questions, about how to disconnect yourself from this person, either on social media or, removing items from your house to kind of clear your energy out, anything that's been helpful for you, we love hearing from you. Type that into the comment section. It really helps everyone to see that they're not alone. That's one of the biggest emails I get is like, wow, I'm not alone. I see there's like dozens and dozens of comments of people going through the exact same thing. That's what can happen in these situations, is you feel like your situation is so unique and special. And yes, every situation is different, but it's such a common thing. I know that we see every day, literally, I get messages from women who are just stuck on men who they logically know are never going to come through for them, who are always going to have some obstacle in the way that's preventing them from really committing to a real relationship and building a deep connection. So Nicole, this was fantastic. Thank you so much. Do you have any last words or tips or tools for a woman who's in this situation? Because trust me, I know how difficult this can be.
Yeah, I agree. Like, dump everything because everything that keeps you like super attached or makes you be like, oh, but then it's not good for you. Like, you can give it away, like, in a really loving way. And there's also an exercise where you can start to like cut mental cords with people. Like, because when you're in a relationship with somebody, you can actually, you're so together that you have mental cords. So just like imagining that you're just cutting all cords, like you can just do like this, like all over your body whenever you're thinking about it. It's just like, I am choosing to let this go right now. Men sometimes, because those connections are so strong, when they sense you pulling away, they can actually contact you. But if you're clear about your choice, you just keep cutting those cords. Remember, you gotta be committed to your outcome, or else you're always gonna be half in or half out. So this is your love life. You want your ideal man. You've gotta be willing to choose it, right? So they feel it. Like I once had like 5 guys reach out to me one time where I just like said enough, and they were all like coming in, and I was like, wow, I had so many courses with them. So it's all about like just, hey, I'm choosing this. And sometimes life tests you to see what you're really choosing. So just do it out of love for yourself would be my advice.
I love this idea of, you need to be both feet into your own life, committed to your own desires for what you want for yourself. Because, in my work, how I say we often attract a mirror image of our own masculine energy. This might be a topic for a whole nother video. If you're attracting men who are 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the relationship, I always have women take a look. Where are you 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Where are you waiting around in other areas of your life? And see if when you commit to something, like committing to what you truly want for yourself in your life or in your relationships, it's pretty amazing. You kind of come into alignment with who you are that way, and the right men just step right up, and it's reflected back to you immediately. And the wrong men for you, if he's no longer a match to what you want, will just fade away. There's this like natural attrition process, and you don't have to really micromanage it. You don't have to be up in your head analyzing or anything like that. I mean, that's what you need to do. Make a decision for yourself, put both feet into your own life, and you'll start to attract men who are both feet into the relationship. And if they're not, they just fade away. And, that's when you can really let them go. So Nicole, thank you so much. And where can people find you and get your free gift? I know everyone's going to want to learn more about you after watching this.
Thank you so much. Well, my website is Nicole Elisa. So it's NicoleElissa.com. I have a gift. So it would be NicoleElisa.com/gift. It's a beautiful woman meditation. It's for the woman who maybe she's just, letting go of that like relationship. She wants to like feel like all beautiful. She wants to clear energy as well. So when I say clear energy, kind of like the cord cutting, like I like to work a lot with energy. Just, releasing anything that was keeping you stuck so that you're really on board on fully claiming your worth. It really, really helps with that. So it's a 1 hour meditation and clearing session. And I hear a lot of comments from women who tell me like, I do it all the time, and it's amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
I love that. I actually love it. I downloaded it after the first interview we did. I thought it was amazing. It was very helpful for me personally. So I'm going to include links to that and to your website, any other way people can contact you in the description right below this video. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and share it with your friends who might need help in this area. And again, we love hearing from you. Feel free to type your experiences and your thoughts on this, or anything that's been helpful for you personally in letting go of a man who's just not doing the job in the relationship. I'm sure that would be helpful for everyone. Nicole, thank you so much again, and I hope to talk with you soon.